Victoria City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
He's got a degree in hypnotherapy, which I have too. And he put this course, anyway, I'm not going to take away from the story he's going to tell you. JJ, come on up. And the full title is Beyond Retirement, Beyond Goals, Beyond Boredom. Because I had a few people complain they feel bored here, but you won't be bored during this talk, that's for sure.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me okay? All right, a little bit about me. I've been a fire protection engineer my whole life, from the time I got out of school until I retired last August. Not last August, it's a year ago, August. This August will be 2 years. About 20 years ago, though, I went through a life change, a life crisis, whatever you want to call it, a midlife crisis, whatever you say. I went out looking for some help. And I found neurolinguistic programming, and it was a tremendous amount of help to me. And it did so much good for me, I wanted to share it with other people. So I started life coaching and also giving some classes. One of the classes I taught was Beyond Goals. I'm going to share that with you this morning and kind of tie it all together how it works with retirement. Which most of us are going through right now. So the talk I'll be giving is going to be in four sections. A little bit about human physiology. Then I'll share the Beyond Goals class that I taught years ago. We'll talk about the 4 phases of retirement. And then I'm going to put it all together at the end. So some of the things may feel a little loose while I'm going through them, but hang on, it'll all come together at the end. This presentation is all about goals and whatever they may be for you. Everybody's goals are different and how they relate to retirement. So what are some examples of goals? It may be that you want to reach a certain weight or a certain percentage of body fat. That's a big goal for a lot of people. It may be walking on the beach every day, sailing around the world, maybe helping other people, donating your time to a charity, or maybe it's as simple as wanting to be a patron of every establishment on Soy 6. Maybe it's that simple. But whatever your goals are, you have to take steps to achieve your goals. And that's what we're going to be talking about. All those goals, we would, a lot of us would call that our bucket list. All the things that we want to see or do before we, what? Can't. In whatever form that comes. Everybody in here knows what paper currency is, right? The dollar, the baht. Does everybody in here know what cryptocurrency is? Can anybody give me an example of cryptocurrency? Bitcoin, exactly. There you go. What I want to talk about is our biological currency. Does anybody in here have any idea what our biological currency is? Is this going to work? There we go. I went the wrong way. Dopamine is our biological currency. It's the drug that our body produces that gives us pleasure. Dopamine creates desire to do, to succeed, to create, and to procreate. Dr. Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist at Stanford University, has discovered that it is in the pursuit of our goals that gives us a small daily dose of dopamine. And when we achieve a goal, we get a large dose of dopamine as a reward, depending on how excited we are about the achievement. If we allow ourselves to have a big hit of dopamine when we achieve a goal, it takes longer to recover from the dopamine spike. Dr. Huberman also found that after we have reached our set goal, that biologically we need time to reset before we seek our next goal. So over here, we all will experience a little downtime after we have a big peak of dopamine. And what I was trying to explain is he's found that it's in the pursuit of your goals that we actually are getting that every day. That little bit of happy drug is when we pursue our goals. Think back to when you had an exceptionally good day, when you felt like you really accomplished something important. You may have said something to yourself at the end of the day like, wow, it's been a really good day. But what's even more important, can you remember what it felt like when you had that really good day? Everybody experiences that in a different way. For instance, some of the ways that we get our dopamine is from pursuing an acquisition of food, drugs, sex, making money, helping others, being charitable. Just recently in human history, now we have social media, pornography, and video games. We have access to endless stream of dopamine. For instance, scrolling or watching video clips on YouTube will give us a dose of dopamine because we are searching, we are pursuing. But it's for free. However, this cycle of free reward creates diminishing returns, and even worse, can lead to an addiction. Have you ever stopped and wondered why you just spent the last 2 hours searching through meaningless video clips and not even remember doing it? Kind of feeling spent? That's this spike. You keep spiking your dopamine, and then you have that downtime. Pleasure experienced without prior requirement of pursuit disrupts our normal dopamine cycle. The continued circle of free rewards creates feeling of diminished returns, and we need more and more, like an addiction. Addiction is a progressive narrowing of the things that bring us pleasure. That's all it is. The smaller and smaller and smaller that the world gets, and you're focused on one way of getting that reward, that's what addiction looks like. So I want you to hold on to all that for a minute. That was part one. I'm going to move on and talk about NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Neuro-Linguistic Programming is a psychological approach that focuses on connection between neurological processes, language, behavioral patterns, learned through experience. NLP proposes that by understanding how people structure their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, one can learn to replicate successful behaviors and overcome obstacles obstacles more effectively. The term neuro refers to the neurological processes that underlie behavior. Linguistic refers to the language and communication systems used and experienced through experience, and programming refers to the pattern of behavior and thought that can be changed or reprogrammed. Key concepts of NLP are modeling, anchoring, reframing, meta-modeling, and rapport. The two that I'm going to share with you today in Beyond Goals is anchoring, which is associating a specific stimulus such as touch, word, or image with a particular emotional state to trigger the state later on. And reframing, which is changing the way a person perceives a situation by altering the meaning or context, which can lead to a different emotional response or behaviors. NLP techniques are often used in personal development, coaching, counseling, sales, communication skills, training, and psychotherapy. Has anybody ever heard the term, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me"? We all knew that wasn't true. They always hurt. Words are very powerful. It's almost impossible to have no reaction to what people have to say to us. If I were to say to you, don't think about a big red truck. Okay, how many people thought about a big red truck? How many people saw a fire engine? How many people saw a big 4x4 truck? It's almost impossible not to have your brain do something when people tell you not to do something, which is really incredible, because what is it we tell our children as they're being raised? Don't do drugs. Don't drink alcohol. Don't have unprotected sex. And what their brains hear is do drugs, drink alcohol, and have unprotected sex. I tried a little experiment on my girlfriend because she was always asking me, she was always coming out with 2 outfits and saying, "Which one do you like better?" So I started I didn't care, so I started responding to her, either way is better. Either one is better. The first time I did that, she looked at me with that glazed look in her eyes, and she's like, "What does that mean? Which one do you like better?" Either one is better. Eventually the behavior changed. Pretty soon she brought one outfit out and she said, "I'm going to wear this, is that okay?" The things that we say change behavior. Just little things. The words that we use affect everyone around us and what they are thinking, as well as their future actions. However, the most important words you will ever speak are the ones that you say to yourself. Our conscious minds can think about 7 things plus or minus 2 at one time, but our subconscious mind is almost endless. They think about hundreds of things at the same time. Our self-talk is constant, that little voice inside of your head. I found this out years ago as I tried to learn meditation, which is basically the skill of learning to silence that little voice in your head. I mean, at first I could go maybe 10 or 15 seconds before that voice would start talking to me again. But over time I learned how to silence that voice for longer and longer and longer. Has anyone ever asked you what you were thinking and you're like, nothing? It's because that little voice is talking to you and you don't even realize that it's happening. Beyond Goals was a class that I taught many years ago, and what it had to do with was, here we are on our lifeline. When we're born, we go to school, we have a job, we retire, and then we die. But somewhere in here, when we all have this job, this time in our life when we're working, we have this huge goal called retirement. We work our whole lives for the retirement. But why are we working to retirement? What is it that's so important about a retirement? Because we all associate something with that thing out in the future. And what is that thing that we're thinking about? How are you going to feel when you get there? How will you be as a person when you achieve your goal? It's different for everybody. This end state energy, what I call end state energy, for me personally, is a feeling of freedom and peace. I went through my whole career thinking that when I finally retire, I will be at peace and I will be free. What is that for you? Try and figure out what is that feeling for you, because it's unique to each and every one of us. Here's just a few examples of the feeling that might be for you. Like I said, you need to figure, if you could try and think for a minute, maybe one or two of those things that you would be when you achieve the goal that's most important to you. Or think about what it was when you were getting ready to retire. What was that feeling for you? Because usually it's the same feeling for us for our entire life. So, what I call that is our end state energy. We have another name for that, and that is. Has anybody here seen the movie Happy Gilmore? So this end state energy could be called our happy place. It's a happy place that's different for each and every one of us. What are the feelings associated with your happy place, and try to find those. It's very important that every one of us, like I said, is different. When do goals work? Goals work when they're created from end state energy. They flow from the state that are associated with their actualization, not the need to achieve them. The energy that therefore changes form to what is needed to be each step of the way. Be all that you are, then decide what you want to do. Goals are created from inductive processing. When goals come from the inductive process, example, the end state energy, they may shift to the extent that there is new data to make new adjustments, but in the process, more energy is available from the total field. So the process of beyond goals is all about finding that happy place, that end state energy. And we do that by remembering sometime in our past when we felt that way. Because we all have that end state energy or that state of mind, that happy place, because it's happened to us in the past. So as you think about what it was in your past that brought you the feelings that you want, you sit here and now and you think about what that end state energy is. How will I be as a person when I've achieved the goal? Whatever the goal is. Whether it's retirement, whether it's exercising every day, whatever your goal is, how will you be as a person when you get there? And while you're feeling that, and when you're sitting in that feeling, ask yourself, what is the next small step I can take to move me in the direction I want to go? So taking all of your energy to take that one small step. But it needs to be from that happy place. Because when you make decisions for your life, in that happy place, in the right place, there'll usually always inevitably be the right choices for you. And then you just continue this circle. As you come back with your end state energy and ask yourself what the next small step is, then achieve that small step today. As we achieve that small step, all the energy from the outcome or from the state is directed towards the next small step. Upon the actualization of each step, the potential energy and information of the field is available. This means the field is only limited for a very short time. With actualization of each small step, the energy increases, stacking anchors. So as time goes on, the energy builds rather than dissipates. The actualization of the goal is variable as weather forecasting. The further out in time we go, the more chaos and unpredictability, which means as we take a small step, we take one small step, we reevaluate what that goal was, it may change. So every time we move just a little bit towards what we want, reevaluate, get back to that place of that happy place and reevaluate what we want, goals change. They inevitably do. Inevitably, we are all just change. The smallest next step has the greatest amount of energy. All the energy of change is directed into that step. You need the end state energy to take the smallest next step. When you create the smallest next step within the end state energy, you will never run out of resources. The end state energy has the intelligence to determine the next step and continues in the same energy stream or field. Energy that has the ability to transform itself as it expands into even larger fields, which means your goals can grow, they change, they turn different. So as you're being true to yourself and being in the right place, as you make that small step, things change a little bit because we grow every time we take a little step. The 4 stages of retirement. The vacation phase of a retirement, the phase mirrors the traditional honeymoon phase of retirement, where retirees enjoy newfound freedom, relaxation, and indulgence. It's a time of exploration, travel, and leisure activities akin to an extended vacation. Loss is the phase retirees may grapple with feelings of loss, both tangible and intangible. Loss of identity tied to work, loss of routine, and possibly loss of social connections can be significant. It's a period of adjustment for retirees as retirees navigate the emotional impact of retirement and redefine their sense of purpose. Trial and error. During this phase, retirees experiment with various activities, interests, and routines to find what brings them fulfillment and meaning in retirement. It involves a process of trial and error as retirees explore different avenues of personal growth, social engagement, and leisure pursuits. Reinvent and rewire phase. In this phase, retirees actively reinvent themselves and their lifestyle to align with their evolving priorities and aspirations. They may pursue new passions, engage in lifelong learning, cultivate deeper relationships, or contribute to their communities in a meaningful way. This phase emphasizes adaptation, resilience, and continued growth as retirees embrace the opportunities that retirement offers for reinvention, and personal fulfillment. Okay, putting that all together. So here we're back to this. Now instead of beyond goals, now we're beyond retirement. Now do the same thing with what you did before when you were going to retire, and pick out what your goals are going to be in retirement. Bringing yourself into that happy place and deciding what the next small step is that you can take towards that goal. It occurred to me, and the reason that this is part of what my talk today is because I realized how much these two tied together. That when we finally reach that place of retirement, we get a huge dose of dopamine while we're on that vacation phase. When we finally retire and we get there, party, party, party. I know I had a really great vacation phase of my retirement, but it burned me out, like it does many. And I went through a very long period of being a little depressed, wondering what was next. Is this all there is? Is this really what retirement has in store for me? And wondering where to go. Now I've entered that phase of rediscovery. And everybody is in a different place on this journey. No matter what phase of retirement you're in, or even if you're not retired yet, this technique could help you feel a little better every day. This is just another tool for your toolbox. If you find yourself in a routine that has started to feel like a rut, or feels like you have a progressive narrowing of things that bring you pleasure, then it's time to try some new things. This can be your next small step. For example, I remember Ron Carty came to speak to us. I loved him as a speaker. He spoke about how to drive and survive in Thailand. Does everybody remember his talk? Did anybody get to see him? He was so impressive. He talked about racquetball and beach tennis and all this stuff. And I talked to him afterwards, and I got involved with his beach tennis club. And then I started playing racquetball. It was a time for me to try on some new things. New experiences and new people are just a way of taking that next small step. Joining groups and having something different to do every day. It's like having 50 pairs of gloves in front of you, and you never know which one's going to fit until you take the time to try them on. We all live in a place where there are plenty of gloves to try on. There's so many things to do here. So that's what I had to say to you today. I have a few final thoughts. I don't have a practice anymore, and I'm not associated with any organizations. I just enjoy helping people if I can. I hope you can take something away from this that will help. And if you did get anything out of this, I would ask one thing, and that you would pay it forward. Do a little something for somebody in need. Maybe even take the time to help out this club. Volunteer for something, and that would really help all of us. So thank you very much. One last thing. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow may never come. So enjoy today, because you never know when it's going to be the last one you have. And remember, no matter what you think you are always more than that. Thank you.
I've come up on the stage because JJ has some hearing issues, so I might have to repeat your question so he can hear it. Or not. Doc Martin, hi Doc.
You mentioned that you did some NLP training after retirement, or?
No, this was 20 some years ago back in the United States.
Did you do this in California?
No, actually, my trainer, his name is John Overdorf, and he lives in Georgia. I would actually do my classes with him online, or when he came to the Pacific Northwest, which is where I was located at the time. Years later, when I started getting advanced courses, I would actually go to his place in Georgia and train with him there.
And how long was your training?
Master class is a couple of weeks. Master class, master practitioner was another 2 or 3 weeks. And then follow-up was, he called it time in his garage. And that was a week at a time. We would go and at this very small group, focused for a week at a time.
Did you, after the finishing of your training, did you apply it to your daily life?
I'm sorry.
When you finished your training, did you put into practice? I'm a little bit familiar with NLP.
Yeah.
Okay, just enough to be dangerous. Okay, so did you start applying some of the principles of NLP in your daily life?
Oh, almost immediately. The more that I learned and the more that I helped myself, the more I wanted to learn and help others. Absolutely.
Sorry,
Hey,
I was
Doc.
late. Morning. So I missed half your talk. Sorry about that. But I came in when you're on the dopamine bit and happiness. Okay, I don't know what came before that. To me, happiness is so superficial, and dopamine response is superficial. It's forebrain function. It's well researched because it's forebrain. But true happiness comes from joy, and joy is a hindbrain function. If you have a state of being of joy, then you become happy. And it's the depth and foundation of your joy that gives you satisfaction and happiness in life, not just a chemical neurotransmitter reaction. We saw this when British Leyland went broke in England. They paid off all their workers, okay? And they were all happy, fantastic, because they got a big payout. And then the steps that you quoted happened to them. Absolute happiness. And then despair, because they were getting bored. And then they ran out of money. And then it was followed by deep depression, because they had nothing else to do. And we're human beings who need to be entertained or active all the time. Otherwise, we're not human. Do you know what I mean? We're processed to enjoy ourselves. And that, I don't mean selfishly enjoy yourself like psychopaths do when they go off and have sex with 101 different women. That's not joy.
Or corpses.
Or corpses. Well, that's philosophy. Is that philosophy 101?
That's psychopathy 101.
Yeah, so it's so what you're talking about is really profound, and I hope the people got what you're trying to say, because if they realize true joy, they will realize how happy they can be. So I put it the other way around.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I picked up just lately that really hit home for me as I was thinking about all this was that the neuroscientist, Dr. Huberman, has found that and I don't know if you guys picked up, it's the pursuit of something that's more important than anything. As human beings, we need to be going after something. No matter what it is, pick a goal and take small steps, because every day that you pursue whatever that is where the joy comes from. That's what they have just discovered in neuroscience, and it makes total sense.
I want to ask a question using an example from my own life that ties in with what Doc Martin said as well. I got to a stage, I'd done a lot of inner work stuff, and I got to a stage where I thought, I don't have enough joy in my life, right? And so what I did, I thought I'd always liked partner dancing. So I went on this journey and I found myself in a partner dancing that turned out to really suit me. And what I like, in terms of goals, I honestly believe that humans have to have a sense of purpose and goals. But the great thing about partner dancing was, in a really sense, there was no goal. It was just the moment, you know, and the spontaneous, because it's a very highly improvised dance form. And just having that was like a joyful holiday, in a sense, from goals as well. Of course, I went to classes to get better at dancing and so forth and so on. But, oh, by the way, somebody who looks a lot like me has started teaching free dance classes on Tuesday night at Bernie's restaurant up in Pratamnak, Soy 5, starting at 7 o'clock. So, yeah, so it's free, and you want to give it a try. So I wonder if you had a thought about this balance of, you know, joy in the moment and goals.
Well, like I said, I think, and what I'm finding in my own personal life is that it's the pursuit. Taking that step every day is what is bringing me the happiness and joy.
But with your dancing, very few people really enjoy themselves. Yeah. It's unbelievable how bad people are at enjoying themselves, really appreciating who and what they are, because they don't know who and what they are, which is why a lot of Americans go to therapists. So, yeah, so you were doing what you enjoy doing, and it made you good and feel good inside yourself, and that's the dopamine reaction. And that's happiness, pleasure. And the better you get, the more you teach it, you'll find, the same as martial arts. The more you teach it, the more you do it, the better you get, and the more you realize, self-realize. Fantastic.
Yeah, no, I used to teach in Australia. I won national championships, choreographed and everything. So I gave a talk on this years ago. I think it got lost, so I might have to do it again.
One of the things I did when I was younger was whitewater rafting. And in addition to the adrenaline and the dopamine, it was almost kind of a meditation of sorts, because everything but that moment is in your brain. Nothing else is in there. Your inner voice you're talking about, completely gone. It's like, I got to stay in this boat, or I got to swim back to the boat, or whatever that is going on at that particular moment. And it kind of taught me something, that we have to focus really on what's happening here and now, much more so than we do. We always tend to think about what happened in our past or what's going to happen in our future, and we kind of miss out on what's actually happening now.
Very much. Absolutely.
Well, what's happening now, I think, is the talk's coming to an end.
Before you do, I remember when I was at school, for example, the question that I hated most was, what do you want to be when you leave school? I mean, I didn't know. I didn't have a clue, because nobody had really explained what the possibilities were. And through working life, I was continually told, plan for retiring. Long time, looking around the room, a long timeline most of us have got, thank goodness. It's too long to plan. And things that happened along that timeline totally changed what it was I was going to do next. In fact, most of the things that I did next were nothing to do with me. They were to do with a third person who came along and suddenly gave me some idea or opportunity. And I was happy to have 2 or 3 of those opportunities that made huge changes to what I thought I was going to be doing tomorrow. Yep. So the planning part is difficult. The goal isn't there, because whatever it was you thought yesterday may not be today. It's really difficult to do this.
Exactly, and I found that when I'm unsure of what the goal is the one thing I do to take my step every day is just go for a walk on Beachfront Road. Just get outside, change your physiology, Another way to change your mood, or if you're in a place and you just can't find your happy place, put on a nice piece of music that makes you happy. Do anything you can. Change your physiology, put on a nice piece of music, find a way to find that happy place just long enough to find the right small step.
And that seems a suitable point to round of applause and give you this. Thank you for your very thoughtful talk and for, I think, encouraging people to think about what they want to do with the rest of their lives. Thank you, JJ. Thank you, mate. And thank you for how you contribute to the club. And as Daryl rightly said when we were introducing the talk last week, he said, of course, we were talking about beyond boredom, and Daryl said, well, if you're bored, we've got plenty to do in the club. And that is true. We need more volunteers and more people to put their hands up. As of next month, we'll mark when Laurie died 7 years ago, and I've been booking speakers for 7 years. And that is more than a tenth of my life. So I don't know that I'm not planning to do it for a fifth of my life, right? Okay. So other people need to get involved in booking speakers, etc. Next week. Oh, hi, Ron. Didn't see you there, mate. Good to see you. So next week we have something completely different. We have something very different pretty much every week. We've got a words and music with Dutz. Now, who was here for the three tenors? The three tenors. You were, Richard. You were here for the three tenors. They were fantastic, weren't they? They were like, you know, Richard said he had tears in his eyes. One of those is coming back, who hasn't done an individual words and music, Dutz. Dutz is a Filipino singer. He is amazing. He is my favorite male singer in Thailand, and there's some good ones.